Hi, my name is Eloise. I am a Cambridge Law graduate and former corporate lawyer, and now a psychotherapist, an author, and an admissions consultant. And today I'm going to talk to you about the best extracurriculars for law. Now, if you think you might have already seen this video, it might be because you've watched the supercurricular video for law. Don't be confused, these two things are completely different. Extracurriculars and supercurriculars are two different things, both of which you can engage in. One is slightly more important than the other, but both will probably show up on your personal statement. So supercurriculars, which if you have no idea what those are, please do go and watch our supercurriculars for law video right now. And maybe also our personal statement for 2025 video, which shows the new format of the personal statement. Those are both really important videos to understand what supercurriculars are and how you use them in your application. Supercurriculars could be defined as the things that you do outside of your school curriculum that are specifically related to law. So there's normally books from a reading list, and if you want some reading list recommendations, we have a separate video on reading lists and recommended books, so go and watch that now. And there are also a whole host of other supercurriculars that you can engage in for law, and again, we have a separate video on supercurriculars for law. But today we're going to talk about extracurriculars for law, and these are things that you do outside of your school curriculum that are not related to law. And now you might be thinking, so how would they play a part in your law application? The number one reason you would include things like this is to not necessarily demonstrate a passion for the academic study of law, but to demonstrate that you have developed a number of skills and abilities that could be relevant to the life of a law student. So not every single extracurricular activity is going to be of equal importance when it comes to your application, and we're going to run through the ones that could be more useful than others. I think maybe the things that come to mind when you think of extracurriculars are sports, dance, maybe like music or acting, things that you do in your spare time that aren't necessarily related to an academic study. But some of these are still going to be quite helpful to talk about, especially in question 3 of the new personal statement format. In terms of where your extracurriculars show up in the application process, a little bit more limited than your supercurriculars. Your extracurriculars are most likely just to show up in your personal statement. Now, the supercurriculars, you'll know if you watched our video on it, they show up not only in your personal statement, but probably at interview as well, and in this sense of general academic profile development, so they help you just improve your ability to perform as a law student. Now, the extracurriculars are a little bit less likely to help you in those more substantive ways, but they may go towards developing some skills that will be helpful across the entire process. Now, before we get into the extracurriculars that it might be helpful to spend some time on, it's important to know there are also risks involved in dedicating a lot of time to extracurricular activities. And this is because, especially if you're applying for law and especially if you're applying to competitive universities, the focus is primarily on your academic performance, your academic abilities, and your genuine and authentic passion for law. So the risk is that if you spend a lot of time in a sports team, or you spend a lot of time on Duke of Edinburgh, or you spend a lot of time volunteering in your community, these are all great things, but they won't take up a huge amount of your personal statement, and therefore they might actually take time away from you doing other activities that could be more fundamental to law. That's not to say don't do them, it's just a little warning to balance your time appropriately between the supercurriculars that are really going to demonstrate that passion for law and that connection and understanding of the course, and your extracurriculars, which may help you in life generally, develop your character. Maybe they also give you some skills, but they might not be as important in the process of applying to your law degree. It's actually interesting to note that a lot of the universities that published information about the new personal statement format de-emphasized the importance of the third question on that form, which is the question where they ask about things that you've been doing outside of school that might support your application, so your extracurricular pursuits. Please do go and check out our video on personal statements for more information on that, and specifically which universities have given which kind of guidance. But in general, it's fair to say that universities are looking for you to focus in on question 1, your motivation, and question 2, how your studies have helped you prepare, and less on the things that are outside of that scope. Having said all of that, let's get into which extracurriculars could be most helpful for your application for law. And I think it's really helpful to think about the main skills that a law student will need. And again, check out our other videos on supercurriculars for more information on this. But if you think one of the main skills is going to be the ability to work with language, so reading, writing, speaking, presenting, analysing, or anything that's sort of language related, language as an art form, this could be really helpful to prove through your extracurriculars how you've also developed and strengthened this skill. So this could be things like learning another language, maybe writing an article, writing a blog, writing a paper, entering essay competitions. If they are related to law, these might fall more under your supercurricular studies, or they might even come under question 2, your academic studies. But if they're completely unrelated to law and not really within the school curriculum, they might go down here in question 3, your extracurriculars. Presenting, advocacy, debates, these are all great things. So this might be like politics club or debating club. Maybe you have model UN as well. And again, some of these are law adjacent, but where they fall outside of the scope of specific law preparation, you might think of them more as an extracurricular. I think anything where you really show initiative is helpful because it shows that you have the ability and the confidence to take actions that will support your own development. So maybe if you founded something, you created something, you started something, you're the head of something, anything where you're sort of stepping outside of the scope of what is required of you and going above and beyond to fulfill some kind of responsibility, these can be really helpful things. Positions of responsibility in general are good. And again, these might come under question 2, where it talks about your school and things that you've done within your studies to prepare for your law degree. But if it doesn't fall within that, things like president of something, head girl, head boy, prefect, anything with a slight title that gives you a sense of responsibility and authority, these can be great examples. Volunteering can be a great one, and volunteering, the skills that you would think about there are a capacity to give back, a demonstration of empathy and compassion and a connection to other people can be helpful, as well as teamwork, problem solving, critical analysis, and leadership. Things like Duke of Edinburgh or extended projects where you've been challenging yourself, World Challenge is another example of this. Again, really good and helpful, and you probably should include them at least briefly, but remember that these are not going to be as important as the specific things that you've done in relationship to your law degree. Part-time jobs are also an extracurricular pursuit that you might talk about here. So if you don't have work experience in a specific law-related field and you're not sure how to get any, which if that is the case, please do go and watch our video on work experience and how to get some for your law application. But if you are working in a completely different field, if you have a part-time job, if you've been doing some kind of on and off work in your free time that is unrelated to law, there might be some skills that you can pull out of that. The number one most important thing would be is if there's any legal link within the work that you do. So for example, even if you're a lifeguard, which seems kind of unrelated to law, but there will be rules and regulations around that. There will probably also be an employment contract. So these are always legal elements you can think about in relation to your part-time job. But other things you might want to talk about when it comes to part-time jobs, you can think about things like leadership, responsibility, management of your time, maybe managing finances if you have responsibility for things like that within your job. So whenever you think about a general skill, let's say if you're a part-time job, it might be customer management or working with clients or consumers of a product or service that you're offering. What is the legal related skill there? So it might be things like communication skills or time management or solving problems, or it might be analyzing certain documents in order to give clients a better service. There's nearly always a legal aspect of your work somewhere, so it's up to you to try and decipher it. Now, one of the main extracurricular examples that most people think of is sports or dance or anything kind of fitness related, or if you've been doing some kind of active pursuit for your entire childhood up until now. These things can take up a huge amount of time, and especially if you're at a competitive level, sometimes college or school sports can take up hours and hours of your week. So you will want to speak about them, especially if you have had any awards or you've won competitions. But again, I think frame them through the lens of what is important on the law degree. So could that be a sense of resilience or determination or an ability to overcome difficult obstacles or a sense of commitment? How long have you been doing this sport for? How much commitment have you shown during that time? Sports are often also a great indication of the way that you can work within a team. So if you can talk about team building or team management or working alongside others or communication skills, that can all be helpful as well. Overall, remember that even though these extracurriculars may have taken up hours and maybe even years of your life, especially if you've been doing them outside of school for many, many years up until this point, they will only constitute a couple of lines in your personal statement. And while that may be frustrating, remember that this isn't a document of everything you've just achieved just to state the facts that you've achieved it. This is a document that specifically positions you as the best person to have a place on that particular law degree. So remember, whenever you talk about your experiences, they should be seen through that lens. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please do leave a like. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments, we'll get back to you. If you could subscribe, you'll get updates on new videos. And if you have any friends who might be interested in this topic, please do send them the video, share it with them. If you feel like you would benefit from any support, guidance, assistance in your applications journey, please do get in touch using the information on screen now and someone will get back to you. We have a whole range of tutors who are highly qualified in every aspect of the admissions process, and you can be matched with someone who can really assist you on the journey. And as always, best of luck with your applications.